There hasn't been an Auburn wide receiver getting this much preseason love, maybe ever.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie Five.
Yes, sir. We're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie Five, and we are ready to get after it. Happy Friday. No Friendship Friday this week, but we'll get back on it next week. Had a scheduling conflict. No big deal. No big deal. We'll be jumping right back on the train. I know those have been a hit, and we'll get back after it next Friday. But today we're going to talk about Eric Singleton Jr., some pretty crazy company he's being lumped in, and some pretty crazy metrics and statistics to look at as, man, the preseason hype around him. I can't remember an Auburn wide receiver getting as much love as he's getting headed into the next season. So we'll do all that in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a shout out to mybookie.ag. Use coupon code BARN for a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. What does that mean? Give them $100. They're going to give you 50 back on top of it to play with, absolutely free. So just by putting your deposit in. So you can take that $50 in free play, win big, roll it up high, is bet any sports you can imagine. It's crazy right now. You almost got playoff sports every single night right now. So take advantage. It's mybookie.ag. I want to preface this whole conversation. A lot of this is built around Pro Football Focus, PFF, and I do love PFF. I don't think it's the final authority on anything, but I think it gives you a good context. It doesn't tell the whole story, but at least they're looking at it from an unbiased perspective. They're looking at it from a statistical and analytical perspective. And Max Chadwick with PFF has put out the top 10 wide receivers to know for the 2026 NFL draft, and our boy Eric Singleton has made the list. He does not rank them, so it's not like he gives you a top 10 in order. He just said, hey, these are the top 10 wide receivers in the country that we're looking at as far as being potential NFL prospects, NFL draft picks, and Eric Singleton Jr. is on the list. This is what he had to say about Eric Singleton Jr. His 1,468 receiving yards across his 2 years with the Yellow Jackets stands second among returning Power 4 wideouts. So we have the second leading, I didn't even realize that, the second leading returning receiver in receiving yards in the whole country will be a part of our wide receiver core. And I thought this was really interesting. 664 of his receiving yards in 2023 were on deep balls. He led leading all Power 4 returning receivers. That's pretty crazy. So let's put that in context. So if he's a top 10 wide receiver, and let's say that translates through the year and into the draft, this past year, I think the wide receiver class was pretty, weak as a whole. I mean, you have Travis Hunter listed as a wide receiver, and, more than likely, I would imagine his position in the next level is probably going to be corner. So, and he was listed as the number 1 wide receiver. So you got this year's receiving class was a little bit, behind maybe others, but that would essentially guarantee him. I think the 10th pick the 10th wide receiver was the second pick of the third round. But I mean, you have draft classes where 6 and 7 wide receivers were taken in the first round. Wide receivers are definitely a much higher priority position that the NFL targets in the NFL targets in the draft. So that puts him, almost if it translates, almost a guaranteed no worse than second round pick, you would think. And I think with the way that Auburn wants to utilize him, we'll talk about expectations in just a little bit. But you talk about how Auburn wants to use him and hit the hype coming in and just things that you heard from spring camp, already being the fastest player on the team. It's hard not to imagine it would take like an injury or just being basically like a complete disaster on offense for this not to play out. So why is this such a big deal? Like, think about this from an Auburn perspective. When's the last time you think Auburn had a second round wide receiver? Sammy Coates? Nope, third round. Anthony Schwartz? No, he was later on. You have to go all the way back to Tim Carter in 2002 to find a Auburn wide receiver that went in the second round, first or second round. And obviously it was not the first round, it was the second round. So that would be pretty historic for Auburn. I know that's silly when you're talking about when you're talking and comparing to other schools. Wow, it's been, 23 years since Auburn has had just a second round wide receiver. Auburn has not had prolific passing attacks. They just don't. That's just not been an Auburn thing. And for this offense and this system, I think we're going to have to retrain our brain to understand what to expect out of an offense, because I think they're going to put it in the air a good bit this year. And hopefully you can utilize tools like Eric Singleton Jr. To help, be very explosive. And he has all the potential to be explosive. There's really not an excuse. There's really not a reason that you can point to for it not to basically work. I mean, he's done it against the top level of competition. I mean, he was a big factor of that 8 overtime game against Georgia. I mean, he had 8 catches for right at 90 yards, a touchdown. I think he had some rushing yards in that game. He was one of the big key factors in that game. So he can do it against the best. So it's not just beating up on the little guys. He's performed against some of the top schools as well. So that's really good momentum that Auburn could have going into the season. Really good prospects overall as far as having a good explosive offense. And Eric Singleton's going to be a big part of it. It would be monumental for recruiting. It'd be monumental for Auburn in general. It'd be great for Hugh Freeze to be able to take a kid like Eric Singleton Jr. with these type of preseason accolades and nail it and it work out just like predicted, and he be a first or second round pick. So that'd be massive for Auburn. Auburn needs it. I mean, again, 2002. That's how far you have to go back. So we'll see what happens there. There's also a PFF released this new metric where they rate players. I'm going to explain that in just a second. Eric Singleton Jr. just through the roof as far as where he tests here. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to Roback.com. Go to Roback.com, use coupon code BUTTON20 to take 20% off your order. Insane apparel that they have. All their polos are fantastic. Get set up for summer. They have some fun prints. And if you don't like zany prints, then they have the solids and they have the stripes as well. So they got swim trunks, hats, floppy hats, visors. They got everything. Show them some love. It's Roback.com. We'll be back right after this. All right, I don't want to screw this stat up, okay? So I'm going to explain what this is and where he ranks where Eric Singleton Jr. ranks as far as this goes. So PFF just released, I say just, they didn't just release it, but it came out I think last year. It's called a game athleticism score, okay? PFF Gas. That's what it's called. And what this does is it's basically a metric to rank athleticism, change of direction, acceleration, jumping, start, stop, everything to do with what it means to be an athlete. When you think that dude is really athletic, he just runs well. Like you can watch film of a kid and you can just tell by the way they run, by the way they move, that dude's an athlete. Well, PFF tried to figure out a way to quantify that statement right there. That dude's an athlete. I don't know what that means, but that dude's an athlete. Well, PFF has kind of figured out how to define what that means. And the smaller guys typically move in and out of cuts faster. They are able to accelerate faster. So you would think that smaller guys sort of dominate the statistic, but they actually took size and factored that in. So the bigger you get, obviously the metric is going to be adjusted to your size. So like bigger guys obviously aren't going to be able to move a lot of times as fast left and right, forward and back as smaller guys. But the faster that they do go, it would obviously make their score go higher based off of how big they are. Okay. So I say all that to say they don't rank it as far as like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're in percentiles. Okay. And Eric Singleton Jr. ranks in the 99th percentile, basically as high as you can go. All right. So let me give you some comparisons of 99th percentiles. Okay. Malik Neighbors, LSU wide receiver, first round pick. Xavier Worthy from Texas. Remember, smaller guy, amazing top end speed. Xavier Legette. Everybody loves him. Everybody's new favorite meme, new favorite everything in the NFL. Remember, he was the bigger guy that had some freakish abilities, 99th percentile. And then this is crazy. Keon Coleman. Remember Keon Coleman at Florida State? Just an absolute beast wide receiver. 93rd percentile in PFF Gas game athletic score. So that just gives you an idea of what it means to be ranked in the 99th percentile of overall athleticism. Remember, and I mentioned it earlier, but it's the second there were people that came out and said that they basically, that's like the thing. If you come on a new squad, basically what you got to do is you just got to race everybody. You got to race everybody and just figure out where you stand as far as speed. And Eric Singleton Jr., when he stepped on campus, he's the fastest player on the team. I just don't know that we are 100% ready for this as fans. I don't know that we're I don't know that we really understand like what type of player we're getting. I mean, we don't typically, since the portal's been a thing, we haven't gotten that electric guy yet. We haven't gotten that electric guy in the portal quite yet that you see other places get and explode. And I think if you can't make this one work, you can't make it work. If you can't make Eric Singleton Jr. work, you just can't make it work. Literally tests out at the top of everything. 2 years in a row of having over 700 yards. And he can kind of do it all. I mean, he had 213 snaps in 2024 in the slot, 426 snaps out wide, 34 kick returns, took 3 snaps out of the backfield, and he took even more in 2023, the year prior. I say all that to say you can put him anywhere. You can put him anywhere. You can put him inside. You can put him outside. You can put him anywhere on the field. He's not pigeonholed to anything. I don't know that we're ready for this. I hope we're ready for this. I think this kid is going to be I think he's going to be special. So what are the expectations? What are accurate expectations of what he could be, what he could do at Auburn? I think you got to look at what he did at Georgia Tech and say that's the low bar of what to expect. And I'm going to be honest, anything right around that or a little bit more, I will be ecstatic. Again, well over 700 yards receiving in 2 seasons. In 2024, he had 21 carries. I apologize earlier. That stat earlier was receptions out of the backfield, not carries out of the backfield. He had 21 carries, for 131 yards and averaging 6 yards a carry and a touchdown. So he had close to 900. He had real close to 900 total yards in offense from scrimmage. And hey, Auburn, I think he's probably going to be your top punt returner. Cam Coleman gets a lot of the love, and he deserves it because he's your prototype NFL outside wide receiver. And I don't want to pretend like Cam Coleman is overshadowing Eric Singleton Jr. because that's just definitely not the case. Eric Singleton's been getting a lot of hype too. But as far as a guy that you can go into a game, Eric Singleton Jr. is a guy that when you're an opposing defensive coordinator and you go into your meetings on Sunday night or Monday, you start off by saying, we got to find out where number whatever he's going to be is on the field. I've already forgotten what number he's going to be. It's probably 1. But that's the type of player he's going to be. You know where Cam Coleman's going to be. Cam Coleman's going to be on the outside every single time. But you're going to have to locate. He's a guy that they're going to have to locate. You're going to have to locate Eric Singleton Jr. And yeah, he's number 1. Where's 1? We got to find 1. That's the pre-snap. Find 1, and then we basically adjust from there. I can't really remember a player like that at Auburn. I've been really racking my brain trying to come up with a comp, and I don't think I can't really come up with one. Y'all help me. Help me with one. Hit me one with a comp in the comments. An Auburn guy that's remotely in the ballpark. 5'11", 190-ish, smaller, explosive, great change of direction. I'm drawing a blank. I can't really come up with one. Boy, every time I hear stuff about him and every time I hear stuff about this wide receiver room, I just get more and more excited. Eric Singleton Jr. is going to be a beast. I just don't think Auburn's had a guy like this, and honestly, maybe not ever. Now he's got to go out and prove it, but I'm still going to stand by. It's there. If you can't make it happen, if you can't make it happen with Eric Singleton Jr., there's going to be some big questions to be answered because this kid he's the real deal. So guys, let me know what you think. What do you think about PFF? How much stock do you put in PFF? Again, I don't say it's the end all be all, but it takes bias out of it. And usually they're more right than they are wrong. Let me know what you think. How excited are you for Eric Singleton Jr.? I'm pumped. We're going to be back with Friendship Friday next Friday. And I know everybody's really enjoyed those and enjoyed getting to meet members of the barnauburn.com. But you don't have to wait till Friday. You can subscribe today, take $25 off your annual membership, and jump in the conversation. Hey, you can get on the list for Friendship Friday. Hey, we may talk about Eric Singleton Jr. next Friday and just gush over him together. What else are we going to talk about? I'm kidding. But we're going to have some fun. Guys, thanks for listening. If you like the video, like it. If you like the channel, subscribe to it. Make sure you're subscribed to thebarnauburn.com. Man, I'm not thebarnauburn.com, the Barn Auburn YouTube page. Both. So much content coming out. We have I think it's going to be a really good basketball show with Jacob Hillman. He just put out his first solo episode this week. The Barn baseball show is incredible. Sonny D's nugget about South Carolina, and that this is a good quote unquote sweep team because with the expansion of the SEC tournament and everybody gets in now, there's not a lot to play for. And what does Auburn do? Auburn scored like 24 runs or something crazy last night? Auburn baseball's on a heater. That was a fun game to watch because they were just hitting bombs. High, nasty bombs. Yeah, 24-2. Whew. Run rule in college in conference play. It's pretty crazy. So, guys, show us some love over at the Barn, and we'll be back again soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.